Bases. Ever since Minecraft first introduced multiplayer, bases were just a thing that came along with it. As long as there are gonna be people on your Minecraft server, there are gonna be some people that you want to keep out of your house. Whether it be to protect your valuables or to just get away from your annoying neighbors, making a safe Minecraft base is pretty standard and something we've probably all done. Over the years, there have been hundreds of videos posted by creators massive and small, all showcasing the safest house in Minecraft. But surely I can't be the only one that's watched these videos and been like, why can't I just bridge over it? And yeah, I get that's all in good fun, but it begs the question, what is the safest base in Minecraft? In a game with infinite possibilities, there are a ton of different traps and defenses you can use to guard your house. However, they can almost all be defeated by simply mining or towering. But what if there was a base that couldn't be raided? A base so secure and protected it is physically impossible to get in? Well, today, we're gonna find out. I'm going to engineer what I think to be the safest and most secure, unbreachable base in all of Minecraft, and afterwards, I'll put it to the test against one of the best escape artists of our generation, Mithrodak, who straight up told me it was impossible. And we'll see if he can find a way in, or if I've won. This is Minecraft's safest base. And of course, super quickly, if you do end up enjoying the video, then please consider subscribing. We're on the final stretch to 1 million subscribers, and I'd love to get there before the end of the year, but I can't do it without your help. So please subscribe if you do enjoy, but with that said, let's get right into the fun. To design the most secure base in all of Minecraft, we have to decide what defenses we're gonna use. There are all sorts of defense mechanisms like blaze cannons and chunk bands, and I'm gonna go through and rank them before we start building. But before we continue, because I know this is gonna be asked, if the base is so secure, how are you gonna get in? Well, there are two very easy solutions. One is with the use of a timed ender pearl stasis chamber. You may know that using bubble columns, you can store an ender pearl and teleport back whenever you want. You could set up a hopper clock, leave the base, and once the clock goes off, you're sent back. Or, alternatively and more easily, you can just die. If you set up an ender chest and put in all of your stuff, you can then kill yourself and respawn back at the base where you can access your stuff once again. Neither are particularly flawless, but sacrifices have to be made if you want the safest base in the whole world. But without further ado, let's look at the defenses. The most basic defense in Minecraft is the obsidian wall. It doesn't get much more standard than this. The obsidian wall is sturdy, blast-proof, and is relatively hard to dig through. But we can just go around it. Okay, well, we can just go over it. Okay, well, we can just tunnel under it. Okay, and now we're getting somewhere, but we can still mine through it. So how about using regenerative walls? This design is a classic and has been around pretty much forever. If you set up a cobblestone generator with a piston underneath, you can make a wall that fixes itself when broken. So whenever someone tries to break in, the wall will automatically fill the newly made hole. However, this design, like the previous, isn't foolproof. For one thing, you're vulnerable at the redstone. The redstone portion of the build, for obvious reasons, can't be guarded very easily. Not to mention, you can't make a working roof without a very awkward edge that can be infiltrated quite simply. So maybe regenerative walls aren't the way to go. Well, what if the player can't get to the wall in the first place? What if we had a moat? The moat is a classic defense mechanism, and usually you'll find people building giant moats out of lava or some guardian-infested water. The latter is actually much more effective since you can just use fire resistance on a lava moat. But you can also just tower over a guardian moat, so that's no good. Well, how about turrets? Perhaps there is some sort of artillery that can make it close to impossible to approach our base. A very commonly used candidate is skeletons, or even blazes. While blazes can be bypassed using fire res, that doesn't stop the skeletons from completely penetrating our intruder. That said, if you use the super advanced tactic of digging, you can get by these guys pretty easily. But what if we made a giant void moat using glitches to remove the bedrock? We set up a giant canyon that's guarded all the way down to bedrock by skeletons. Well, now it's gonna be really difficult to make it in. Except it won't be if you fly. You can just fly on top of the base and break your way in, even if it goes to build height. In theory, you can gather a lot of evokers and have them protect our house, however they can eventually be killed or just snuck by using a potion of invisibility, which is a fatal flaw of all mob traps. How about TNT though? If we submerge our obsidian base in water, we can set up TNT cannon dispensers that will periodically set off explosions near our walls, so that any player trying to mine them will be pushed around and disrupted. Combine this with pits of Elder Guardians giving the player constant mining fatigue, and now we have the makings of an almost unraidable base. However, with enough dedication, not even this is impenetrable. For instance, if you make an obsidian tunnel up to one side of the wall, then sponge out the entire area, nothing is stopping the TNT from blowing up the dispenser that shot it, and then any intruder can have easy access into the base. So that doesn't work either. Oh, what's this over here? You should probably do that. But then I had an idea, a glitch that I showcased in one of my previous videos, and who knew it would come in handy once again? An indestructible end crystal. If you don't know, you can respawn the dragon using 4 end crystals. However, if you log out of the world while the dragon is respawning, every end crystal that generated will be indestructible, unbreakable, and pushable by piston into the overworld and out and around your base. Granted, this would take a ton of work, but now we have an obsidian wall covered to the brim by unmineable, unbreakable end crystals. Their hitbox protects the blocks behind them, making it impossible to break in, except intruders can just use the same method that we did. If they set up a piston, they can pull the end crystal out of the way and mine the obsidian behind it. So that's a no-go as well. Another strategy I had in mind was chunk bans, and at first this seems really promising. A chunk ban is a device used to permanently kick off anyone from a server by overloading their computer. Put simply, it involves making this cursed book full of a bunch of characters and storing it in a dropper, and once that dropper dispenses the book, it's so demanding for the code that anyone within a 32 block radius will be automatically banned from the server. And so what if you just surrounded your Minecraft base with a toggleable chunk ban on each side? It seems like a pretty good solution to our problem, and it is. But it isn't foolproof. If you shoot an ender pearl over the chunk ban, you just get to the other unbanned side. And if you're wondering why that exists, well, how is the owner gonna use the base if the whole thing is banned? Well, what if you made a giant wall of blocks that blocks the ender pearls? The intruder can just shoot it over the wall at build height. We can stack boats above the height limit and block the pearl, but the intruder can just fly higher than that. It seems like no matter what you do, there will always be a counter. I mean, some players even went as far to develop a wither cannon. A cannon that shoots withers at a wall and uses its block breaking mechanic to break through. And since this affects obsidian, it's a renewable way to chip at even the most protected walls. And once those walls are gone, an ender pearl will be a perfect way in. With the infinite possibilities that Minecraft provides, there will always be a way to get into any base. But what about bedrock? Bedrock houses are what you make in creative to troll your friends and challenge them to get in. So why can't we just do the same thing but in survival? Well, that's obvious, we can't get bedrock. But that's not true. In 2020, Razeworks, a popular Minecraft tech YouTuber, designed this, a bedrock item farm. Granted, the setup and patience required is huge, however with enough effort, this farm can supply you with loads of bedrock that you can place around the world. It's a really cool farm, and now with a bedrock wall, nobody is gonna be mining through our base. If you want to be cautious, you can make the walls 8 blocks thick to prevent chorus fruit users from teleporting in. Similarly, if you set up trapped nether portals inside the base, anyone who tries to enter with a portal from the nether will just be locked in when they arrive. It's almost perfect. Almost. Because using glitches, you can just break the top of the bedrock house and suddenly our secure base isn't looking so safe. However, a smart counter to this method will just be building it at height limit. If you set up a bedrock base at the top of the world, nobody, and I mean nobody, can get in. So yeah, maybe making a bedrock box and using a bedrock farm is the best, most secure house in Minecraft. But that answer isn't satisfying. A bedrock farm for a huge bedrock base on an old version of the game? That would take hundreds of hours. There has to be another way. And I was almost ready to give up on this idea, and for 5 months I did. I didn't think it was possible and scrapped the video. But Then I saw this, a video uploaded a couple of weeks ago by Mumbo Jumbo making his tiny safe house. And yeah, while his house isn't insanely defended, it does the job and makes a good video. But there is one piece of information in the video that's absolutely priceless, and allows me to present to you the safest, most secure base in all of Minecraft. This. What, it's just a regular house? Well, it's a regular house at 27 million x negative 15 million z. You see, on Mumbo Jumbo's video, he left this pinned comment. It's a little disclaimer finished off with the line, "The only true safe house in Minecraft is a hidden one." And that's it. It's genius. It's the reason that the longest lasting base on 2b2t, the most dangerous server ever, a base which survived for 8 years, wasn't defended at all. It lasted that long because it was hidden. It was millions of blocks away from spawn. And for a while, no one raided it because no one found it. It was safe because it was hidden. So with that in mind, and our truly safest house in all of Minecraft, let's put it to the test against Mithrodac. And point proven, it worked. While Mithrodac was able to enter the base relatively easily, granted the exit wasn't flawless, this base was just a decoy, with the real house being just a couple million blocks away, and the actual treasure safe and sound. No chance he'd be finding that anytime soon, making the score 1-0 for the safest house in Minecraft. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, please consider subscribing, and as always, peace out, have a good one, I'll see you next time.
I'm glad to be your first epic swag feature.
Like my feature virginity.
Let's not put it like that.